Hi, everyone. You're listening to episode 62 of the Fifth Meeple Board Game Podcast. Thanks so much for inviting us to your table. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Fifth Meeple Board Game Podcast. We're a group of diverse friends who offer our takes on the latest and greatest board games to hit our table. I'm your host, Daniela, the goofy noob, sometimes a crab, and I'm joined today by the collector.
Hey, this is David.
The intellectual introvert.
Hi, this is Chris.
And the deluxeifier.
Hello, it's Pete.
All right, things are pretty rosy here in the game room today. We've got our skull caps on, and we're ready to bluff our way through another mini Meeple episode. Today we're talking about skulls, so let's go head first right into it.
Skull is a 3 to 6 player bluffing and bidding game that pits tribes against each other in a battle of deduction and deception. Each player starts the game with 4 discs, 3 of which have a flower on them, while the 4th contains a skull. At the start of each round, all players choose one of their discs, placing it face down in front of them. Then, in player order, players make a choice. Either add another disc from their hand face down on their stack or issue a challenge. You must do one or the other, and if you don't have any discs in your hand, you must issue a challenge. When you issue a challenge, you state a number, bidding on how many discs you believe you can reveal without exposing a skull. Continuing in order, players may then either issue their own challenge, bidding a higher number than the current high bid, or pass, which prohibits them from bidding again in this round. Once all players have passed or when the bid matches the number of discs that have been played, the high bidder becomes the challenger. The challenger must then reveal one at a time a number of discs equal to their bid. They start with their own discs, but then, if their bid has not yet been completed, they choose from other players' discs. If a skull is revealed before the bid is met, the round immediately ends and the challenge fails. If the challenge fails, the challenger shuffles all of their discs together, and the player whose skull was revealed randomly chooses one to discard out of the game without being revealed. Or if they reveal their own skull, the player chooses secretly which disc to discard. If a player runs out of discs, they're eliminated from the game. If the challenger successfully reveals discs equal to their bid without exposing a skull, they win their challenge and become the first player for the next game. If a player completes 2 successful challenges or is the last remaining player, they win the game while their opponents are nothing but numbskulls. Skull was designed by Hervé Marley and was first published in 2011 by Louis Mem.
All right, guys, so what is it about Skull that makes you come out smelling like a rose?
I think the rules are relatively straightforward, so you can get started pretty quickly, and I think anybody can play, right? I mean, if it takes you more than 2 minutes to describe how to play this game, you might want to find a different group to play with.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a great bluffing game at the heart of it because there's times where people have to read you at the table and you can stone cold get people. It is so much fun to do. We've played where we've had, 6 players. We play this a lot at work. So from this, you're going to hear probably more positive things than negative things from me. But there's been times where we've put down maybe 6 players and there's three discs out each, so there's like 18 tiles out there, and we've ramped up. I think it had 15 at one time, and then the one girl won the bid from me, and the first thing she does is turn mine over, and it's a skull. It is so much fun when that happens, when you get somebody like that. And there's other times where you can just bid 1 or 2, and people think that you're going to get yourself, and you win. You try to read people, but you can't. And I think that's what I really like about the game, because you're just trying to figure it all out. And it's just so much fun. I enjoy every play of it that we do. You got to have, this is another game. You got to have the right group with it. You got to have people willing to lie and bluff, and it's just so much fun. David.
Yeah, to me, when I think about Skull and the positive things, if you are out there and you love playing Texas Hold'em and you're either really bad at it or you just don't know how to bluff, I think you should play Skull as just a training game, because I love playing Texas Hold'em. This kind of boils poker down to like the bare essentials. Can you bluff or can you not? And, if you're training and you want to be a professional in that field, you should probably play Skull with some people, because I think it will really help you maybe win some money on the other side of it. But when you play Skull, I mean, it is that game. It's just that pure, can you read people or can you not? And I do agree with Pete. When people can't read you well and you know what's coming to them, it's a great feeling when you know stuff is coming bad their way. But anyways, that's kind of my take on this game.
I think it's funny you kind of said this is essentially boils down to a bar game before we kind of started this again. And it's funny because as I'm thinking about it, I'm going, it's kind of like a prison game, like where you have kind of people sitting around playing things and you're throwing down things and you're making people bluff and you're calling them out. And then you just, when you're out, you just leave the table type of thing. Like I see that as more of like a working game where when somebody's out, I mean, you got to leave the table because people could still be playing for 20 minutes or something, as you're playing throughout the game. So it is what it boils down to as that bluffing game, as everybody's kind of stated here. So
because what it really comes down to is, when I look across the table sometimes at Chris, like, does Chris have the balls to put a skull down, even though he bid? And that's really what it comes down to. Does he have the balls to do that because he's going to destroy himself first or not?
He does not.
And I just love trying to get to read on people on that way. The only thing I would say is, if you're going to do something like that, you much rather destroy yourself because then you get to pick which coaster leaves the game and still have your skull intact than having it randomized.
Yeah, there's actually quite a bit of strategy when it comes down to getting close to the end game because being the bidder, being able to win that bid, even if you lose a disc, can make all the difference in the game because then you kind of have that bid because it's got to go around the table completely. Then when it gets back to you, you can just make that bid and you can kind of guess because sometimes you'll have perfect information that I know Chris only has a flower left or I know Daniela has a skull and I can then kind of play the whole table and say, okay, I'm going to put this out and I'm going to bid 3. With 4 of us out there, you either have to try to take them all and something's going to, somebody has one. There's just so much to it. There's a lot more strategy and depth when you dig down a little bit for such a simple game.
Yeah, I would agree with that statement.
All right. So anything about this game, you guys, that just, you can't get through your thick skull? Chris just opened up like one of those like Santa lists where the scroll opens and it hits the floor.
Well, I mean, this is a game. It's bluffing and deception. There are 2 mechanisms there that I just don't like, period. They're at the center of this game. They're almost the entirety. There's some deduction, but I think it's just overpowered by the bluffing. It just is not fun for me. Again, and I'm so bad at it. I'm so bad at it. I am more frustrated than entertained. Do I feel good when I turn over that skull that somebody picked? Sure, I do. That will be my one fun moment in this game is when I get to do that.
But when we play at work, one of the guys, Paul, a lot of times the only thing he wants to do is get somebody. And when we're playing and you have to pick, 7 tiles and you've turned over 6 and you got to pick between Paul and somebody else, it's like, all right. Flip it over, Paul. Tell me what it is. Yeah, you got me again. But even then, it's just fun. This is one of those games, you're not going to win every time. It's really how everything shakes out. And did you get lucky? And did you make the right bid? And,
I think one of the tough things about this game is when you're left with one disc and everybody knows you have a skull, you're like in this like chasm that you really can't get out of because everybody knows what it is and you can't necessarily bid because you got to flip your card over first. So you're immediately just done. There's something there that doesn't work for me. And I think, I don't know. I don't like that.
No, you're absolutely right. There are some situations where you're just not going to win. And when it gets down to that, you kind of put yourself in that position. So, you either made bids that didn't work out or other people got you or whatever. So, I understand that. Fortunately, the game is a quicker game, based upon the number of count. We like playing it at least with 4 or 5. 5 or 6 is the best if you have that. And then we can usually get 1 or 2 games in that half-hour time. And sometimes we do, a no-thinking round where you just go around and bid because a lot of times you're trying to figure out who has what and, read people. So,
yeah. Pete out here writing his own rules.
I mean, yeah. And I would say the one con or the one negative I have about this game is that kind of similar to blackjack, if you ever played in Vegas or somewhere where you're actually playing for money, there are certain cards that I feel like you're supposed to hit on. And if people don't hit on it and you look around and maybe they won, but you're like, proper etiquette was you should have hit or you should have not hit. I feel like in this game, sometimes that happens where Pete might already have the marker flipped over and I might have passed early because maybe I just had to or whatever the case was. And I need somebody else down the line to make sure that they take the bullet, because if they don't take the bullet, then Pete's probably going to win. And I think sometimes if you play with the wrong people, you could see that happening a lot where somebody should do something, but they just either don't realize it or they just choose not to realize it.
Or they just want the game to end.
Yeah, they just want the game to end. But I do feel like when we play with our group, people knew when they had to prevent other people from winning, which I appreciated, because if you don't play that way, this game can be over real fast. But it reminds me a lot of blackjack when you play it, for money.
Yeah, and that is part of the game too, because a lot of times I'll pass because I know he's going to take it.
Yeah.
Maybe I have a skull down and would lose if I took the bid. And so there's part of that game too.
I think we mentioned it maybe at the beginning, but it's an elimination game. And yeah, you can be sitting there for 10 minutes potentially. I know you said it's a quick game, but our games have been between 20 and 30 minutes, and it just seems like a long game for me for what it is. And if you're out after 10 minutes, you're out for half the game.
Yeah.
So I'm not a big fan of elimination, which this has in it. And I'll just second your, hey, you can get yourself in a position where you're just a dead man walking.
Yeah.
It's just, okay, now I know, I already know I'm going to lose. I almost rather be eliminated. Maybe I'll just bid 6 so I don't have to keep putting my skull out there so you guys know, and you guys knowing what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So.
And I do think that this needs, we played at 4 with that 4 player count. I think you need 5, 6.
Yeah.
Like play
It's
the
better.
max players as you can, because it just gives you more variety and more options to guess and bid. So
And just if you do want to try this game at home, you can do it with a deck of cards. It's fairly easy to do. Pull out a red suit, you just use numbers for the flowers, and then pull like a black, king and queen and jack, and use those as your skull. So if you did want to try it at home, you can do that with a deck of cards and play, and then just use a penny or something to say, have you won one bet, or because it's the first one who wins two times. So yeah, something that you can try at home. Not really that complicated.
great tip there, Pete. Thanks. Before we get head on out here, though, let's give each of our overall ratings for Skull. So, on a scale of 1 to 5, with a 5 being a Fifth Maple recommendation to buy and 1 being a recommendation to burn, for each of us individually, where does Skull rank for you? Chris, 1. Thank you. Pete. No, just kidding. Okay. Chris, what do you got for this game?
I actually give it a 2, only because Pete likes it so much. And so I felt bad for him. If Pete wanted to play it, I would play it. Only because I'm such a nice guy. I do not get enjoyment from this game. It's only a 2 because I know someone at this table really likes it. And so I would play it for you.
Well, thank you.
I would never ask for it.
Do anything.
Wow. Chris is trying to game for the next game by getting on Pete's good side. See what's happening here?
Well, my vote's real easy. This is a 5 for me. To your point, Chris, though, you want to play it with the right people. You got to have the right group that's going to have fun with it and bluff and that. Quite honestly, I don't want to play it with people who are a little gun shy or not into it, because that's part of the enjoyment of it. So this game at the heart, it's a bluffing game. It's a pressure luck game a little bit. So for me, it's a 5 if you like that. If you don't, you want to play, be on my good side, you can vote it 2. So, David.
See, I'm bluffing you. I said it's a 2. It's really a 1.
You got me.
Got him.
So for my ranking of this, real quick, I just want to give you some breakdowns. If you're looking to buy this game and not make a home brew, you could go to Game Nerds right now. It's $16.79 on Game Nerds, or you could buy it used somewhere between $5 and $10. If they charge you more than that, you're getting ripped off. Amazon does sell it, but there's a price gouger on there, so I wouldn't go there. But it's $41.95 on Amazon. It's just way too much. Not recommend buying it from that individual or that company. Anyways, moving on. My ranking on this game, I'm going to come in at a 4. I've had good times. I think it is a decent party game. I actually wish there was more than 6 players that could play it, but you can do that.
We've
but
tried.
I'm not sure if it works or not. I'm sure somebody's figured that out, but yeah, for a 5 or 6 player game, especially for people who like playing poker, I feel like this is a great game to just kind of have some fun and not, just always be playing cards all the time. Moving on to Daniela.
So I almost bought this game. I'm glad I didn't. I do think that there are better bluffing games out there than this as far as enjoyment wise. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 3. So we're kind of all over the board. We got a 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you kind of mesh with one of our gaming styles, or you want the recommendation of any of us individually, those are our scores for how we think this game should or shouldn't be bought. So no one's burning it, but Pete's buying it. David's borrowing it from Pete. I might be renting it from David via Pete, and Chris is not bothering me at all, texting me to borrow. So that's how it kind of breaks down. So, well, that brings us to the end of this mini Meeple episode of the Fifth Meeple Board Game Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our discussion on Skull. And if you'd like to get in touch, just email us at thefifthmeeple@gmail.com or reach out to us on social media. Of course, if you like our show, we'd love it if you'd give us a 5-star review to help us grow. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, remember, your skull hides your brain, but every time you open your mouth, you give others a little peek at what's hidden inside. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Adios to you guys.
Because I choked halfway through. Great tip there. Great tip there, Pete. That sounded stupid too. Head first. I'm enunciating the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'd like our baby to come
Yeah.
out head first. Anyways, go ahead.
Okay.